All right, so we're finally doing an upgrade. Now, if you recall the previous video, we installed this Dometic fridge and a DC-DC charger using an AGM battery. The reason I went with AGM at the time is because I just had it laying around and I wanted to test the concept of running the fridge with that battery and everything to see if it would work for us. Turns out we really like it. We really like the fridge. We like having the dual battery system in here and it works well. But the AGM battery, one, it's pretty old. It was on its last leg to begin with, so it didn't have a whole lot of charge. And two, we found out that we just want to run a few more things. So we're gonna upgrade to a lithium battery. Now, let's go ahead and let's take a peek at what battery I got, and then we'll get it installed in the vehicle. I'm gonna show you how to make some adjustments on your DC-DC charger if you have a Renogy to make sure this charges correctly. So, take a look. I need this. Okay, so I went with a LiTime. I think it's the same company as LiTime, honestly. And I started opening it, and then I pulled this out. I thought, you know what, I should wait for this video because it looks kind of cool. You get some pretty good documentation here, looks like, and this nice zippy bag. So someone put some thought into having this stuff. I might actually steal this bag for my documentation inside my 4Runner. Because I like to keep the manuals to like the DC-DC charger and everything else that goes in there is electronic, so I have them on hand. Our battery posts, nice little way they did that so you actually see it. And then the battery itself. This thing is so much smaller than I thought it was going to be. It is little, super little. I like that. So, there's the battery. It's like, dimensionally wise, it looks like it's almost half the size of an AGM, and it's light. It's like 19 pounds. An AGM, I think, is somewhere between 30 and 50 pounds, depending on what size and type you have, but this is super light, which is nice, because I'm trying to keep the vehicle lightweight. So we'll get these posts. We'll take a peek at these posts first, see what they gave us, and then get this thing installed. Oh, little caps. Whoa, that was a little loose. This is a lot heavier. If you wanted some size comparison, there you go. So this guy is part of the mini series of LiTime or whatever that brand is. So it's a little bit taller than a standard AGM. This is a Group 34, but it is much, much narrower. About half, I would say. Half as narrow and light. Again, 19 pounds, something like 40. So pick up with one hand. I am not man enough to pick up this with one hand. What are the chances this setup works like this? That'd be just awesome if it did. Let's see. Wow. That is not going to work like that. I think we figured out a plan. So I'm going to reuse these. I'm going to drill a bigger hole, and we're just going to use a cam strap and strap it down. I think this will be tight enough to cinch it down so it won't move around, but requires me to modify my mounts here a little bit, and we're going to move them too. we'll have to come back and tidy those wires up a little bit because I am out of clamps. But there it is installed. I'm not super thrilled with my strap setup. I mean, it can move a little bit, and I don't like that. I want this battery to be secured, so I'm thinking I'm gonna create some kind of bar that comes over the top. Maybe I'll take a piece of flat bar, put 2 holes in it, because it looks like these are tall enough. Yeah, these would be tall enough right here if I put a piece of flat bar across the top, and I'll just thread the rest of this. But if I put those there like that, put a piece of bar on top of this, we can squish this down and then it won't go anywhere. But this is good for a temporary solution just to make sure everything works properly. The next thing we have to do is we have to pull out the manual and we have to look at the DC-DC charger. We have to flip a couple switches to make sure this charges appropriately. So the adjustment we're going to make is right here to these dip switches. And to do that, we're going to refer to 2 manuals. One, we need the manual from our battery, and we have to know what it charges at. So according to this manual, you may not be able to read this, but according to this manual, we need a 14.6 charger. So it's got to charge between 14.2 and 14.6. Perfect. The Renogy, there it is. The Renogy has 2 lithium settings, type 1 and type 2. Type 1 charges between 12.6 to 13 volts, and type 2 charges from 14 to 14.6. So we want type 2. Now we're going to set this up according to this manual. So it says switch 5 is off. I now understand. There are voltage adjustments, actually. If you can see this, if not, I'll take a photo and put it up. But you can decide what range you want to go into. So for this battery, we're going to do switch 5 off because apparently that tells us to go into lithium mode. And for switch 3, we're going to do on. And switch 4, we want on. Now we have some decisions. For switch 1, if we want 14.6 volts, we want switch 1 and 2 on. I think we're just gonna go full tilt and we're gonna go the full 14.6 since that's what the battery can take. It's probably better for it that way, I would guess. If you guys have any recommendations in the comments below, let me know. But that's what we're gonna do. So we're gonna go switch 5 off. We're gonna go switch 3 and 4 on. I had that wrong. Put those ones on. Switch 3 and 4 to on. Switch 1 is on and switch 2 is also on. So that should be 14.6 volts. So we installed the 100 amp hour lithium battery, adjusted the charger to make sure everything is working correctly, and later on I'll go and make sure that the wires are tied down and properly secured, so there's no problems with that. But everything's working properly. So the last thing I want to talk to you about is why did we go with a 100 amp hour lithium battery? Isn't that overkill for a fridge? Yeah, actually it is a bit overkill for a fridge of this nature. You'd probably get away with a 50 amp hour lithium battery. You could put that even in a tighter spot. If space is really a concern, go with a 50 amp hour. It'll do just fine with a fridge like this. But the 100 amp hour gives us some breathing room, so we can go a few more days without running the vehicle if we want to sit in one spot and not have to deal with solar, though that will be a future add-on, I'm sure. We'll go there. The other thing we want to do, and this is kind of excited for it, I want to do some testing with what we can actually do. How cushy can we make camp? I'm thinking things like 12 volt blanket when it's cold and coffee pot. Yeah, just to name a few. 2 things like that would be pretty fun while camping. Is it camping anymore? I don't know. What I do know is that everything that makes camping easier allows me to enjoy getting out more on a more regular basis and